Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Now turn to part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between a customer and an agent at a company which ships large boxes overseas. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 8. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 8.
Good morning, Packham's shipping agents. Can I help you?
Oh, yes. I'm ringing to make inquiries about sending a large box, a container, back home to Kenya from the UK.
Yes, of course. Would you like me to try and find some quotations for you?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I need a few details from you.
Fine.
Can I take your name?
It's Jacob Mkere.
Can you spell your surname, please?
Yes, it's Mkere.
Is that M for mother?
Yes,
Thank you. And you say that you will be sending the box to Kenya.
that's right.
And where would you like the box picked up from?
From college, if possible.
Yes, of course. I'll take down the address now.
It's Westall College.
Is that Westall?
Yes, college.
Westall College. And where's that?
It's Downlands Road in Bristol.
Oh, yes, I know it. And the postcode?
It's BS8 9PU.
Right. And I need to know the size.
Yes, I've measured it carefully and it's 1.5 meters long,
Right.
0.75 meters wide,
Okay.
and it's 0.5 meters high or deep.
Great. So I'll calculate the volume in a moment and get some quotes for that. But first, can you tell me, very generally, what will be in the box?
Yes, there's mostly clothes,
Okay.
and there's some books.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Yes, there's also some toys.
Okay, and what is the total value, do you think, of the contents?
Well, the main costs are the clothes and the books. They'll be about £1,500. But then the toys are about another 200, so I'd put down £1,700.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 9 and 10 on page 3. Now listen and answer questions 9 and 10.
Okay, right. Now, obviously insurance is an important thing to consider, and our companies are able to offer very good rates in a number of different all-inclusive packages.
Sorry, could you explain a bit more?
Yes, sorry. There's really three rates according to quality of insurance cover. There's the highest comprehensive cover, which is premium rate. Then there's standard rate, and then there's economy rate. That one will only cover the cost of the contents second hand.
Oh, I've been stung before with economy insurance, so I'll go for the highest.
Mm-hmm. And can I just check, would you want home delivery or to a local depot, or would you want to pick it up at the nearest port?
The port would be fine. I've got transport that end.
Fine. And will you be paying by credit card?
Can I pay by cheque?
That is the end of Part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2.
You will hear a radio announcer describing a city in New Zealand called Gisborne. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Greetings, all you listeners out there. This is National Radio and I'm Kevin Lowe. This morning I'm going to tell you what's so special about the laid-back city of Gisborne. You'll hear a little bit about its past in the old days and a lot about what attractions it has to offer foreign and domestic visitors today. So listen up to learn more about what there is to do in this city and its surrounding region, where the economy is booming but the lifestyle remains unspoiled. The Gisborne region is where the legendary canoe sailed by Maori explorers first landed in New Zealand about 1400 years ago, after its long and risky voyage over the sea. It is also the easternmost point of the country, which is what inspired its original name, Te Tairawhiti, which in the Maori language means the coast where the sun rises across the waters. Gisborne was also the place where the European explorer Captain Cook first landed his boat upon discovering New Zealand, all the way from England back in 1769. Even in those early days, this district was a centre of horticulture, thanks to its fertile soil and subtropical climate. Soon after that, of course, the English settlers arrived, and soon Gisborne was shipping its products to larger settlements, such as Auckland and Wellington. This began with maize and root crops, but quickly expanded to butter, meat and wool from the agricultural settlements in the rich pastoral country near the famous Poverty Bay. Wharves and jetties were built beside the sea to service the coastal traders. Many of these wooden structures can still be seen on Gisborne beaches today. Today, Gisborne continues to export fresh produce to other regions of New Zealand. These wares include various award-winning cheeses, and of course the delicious lobsters and snapper fish harvested by hand from the local reefs and waters. As for exports to Asian markets, there's an increasing demand for the region's oranges and lemons. Gisborne is also becoming well known nationally and internationally as the source of some top-quality white and red grapes. Now, what's on in Gisborne? Well, first up, there's the annual Gisborne concert held every summertime. This is a great experience. It's held at Waiahikia Vineyard, which is near the traditional Maori meeting house, or marae of the same name. They bring in a piano player and opera singers who perform on a purpose-built stage in a kind of natural amphitheatre in the middle of the rows of grapes. It's a fantastic concert-like atmosphere, a really good night out. What to do on a rainy day? I'd suggest a visit to the show called The Beach, which is on in Gallery 1 at Tairawhiti Museum. It's a big display, so it also takes up the hall next to Gallery 1, and it's divided into different sections of the local culture, like surfing, camping, fashion, and so on. If you buy the book of the exhibition, there are some interesting photographs in there.
Before you hear the rest of the program, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
There's a lot else to see in Gisborne as well. You shouldn't miss the Hot Springs Reserve, which has warm natural mineral pools and little houses where you can stay amongst the bush. Being very secluded and private, this resort is most favoured by newlyweds, who often book a cabin for their honeymoon. The water is very therapeutic too. It's apparently good for your health to bathe there, though not recommended for pregnant women or the elderly. Around the corner is Mahia Peninsula, legendary as a New Year's Eve party destination for large crowds of university students after their graduation. The surfing and fishing here is excellent, and it's a safe spot for swimming and diving too. Now, also good for kids is taking a raft or jet boat ride on the Motu River. This sounds quite wild, doesn't it? But in fact, this activity is often used by local primary schools who take big groups of young children, several classes at a time, out here for a bit of fun while they're on their school camp. No parents required. You can have some time out, as this activity is a lot safer than it sounds and is carefully supervised by the rafting company. Finally, don't let's forget the Eden Woodlands Park, which is really a huge tree nursery. You can walk for hours here in the peaceful green surroundings, along a variety of tracks. There's even a very nice walkway made wide enough for those in wheelchairs, so that everyone can go along and enjoy Mother Nature at her best.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3.
You'll hear two friends discussing studying with the Open University. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hello, Paul.
Oh, Rachel, I'm glad I've bumped into you. I was going to give you a ring.
Anything special or just for a chat?
Actually, I'm thinking about doing a degree at the Open University the way you did, 'cause I like the fact that you can study at home and fit it round a job. But I could do with some advice. The thing is, though, that I've never learnt how to organize my work or do research, so I really ought to do something about it. Have you got any ideas?
Well, I found some of the books that the Open University produces are good, particularly the Good Study Guide. That's a very practical introduction.
And what does it cover?
Well, the obvious things like writing, note-taking. There's a section on working with numbers, which I learnt a lot from, but you should be all right with that. Then there's reading. But actually, I got an awful lot out of the section on how to use video cassettes. Far more than I expected. And of course, the bit on preparing for exams, which I read over and over again.
Yeah, I could certainly do with that. I always used to go to pieces under the pressure. And I'm sure it's because I hadn't learnt the right techniques. I just used to stay up all night trying to memorize facts.
Not the best thing to do.
And reading, well, I think I can cope with that. But I'd probably benefit from the note-taking part. Mine always end up being longer than the original. I've done a course on using video, so that probably wouldn't be so interesting. I need to learn a lot about writing, though, because I haven't had to do any essays for ages.
Well, there you are then. The perfect start.
Right, thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you find it hard studying with the Open University?
You mean because you're studying on your own most of the time? Well, it took me a while to get used to it. I found I needed to maintain a high level of motivation because it's so different from school. There's no one saying, "Why haven't you written your assignment yet?" and that sort of thing.
Oh, dear.
You'll learn it, Paul. Another thing was that I got very good at time management because I had to fit time for studying round a full-time job.
Well, I'm hoping to change to working part-time, so that'll help.
What makes it easier is that the degree is made up of modules, so you can take time off between them if you need to. It isn't like a traditional 3 or 4 year course where you've got to do the whole thing of it in one go.
Oh, that's good, 'cause I'd like to spend 6 months traveling next year.
It's all right for some. Then, even though you're mostly studying at home, remember you've got tutors to help you, and from time to time there are summer schools. They usually last a week. They're great because you meet all the other people struggling with the same things as you.
Oh.
I've made some really good friends that way.
Sounds good. So how do I apply?
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Part 4.
you will hear a talk given by a specialist at a zoo about the implications of the extinction of species. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon. From my work as curator at the Brisbane Zoo, it is becoming increasingly obvious to me that the animal world is a highly endangered one. It sometimes seems as though a new species is added to the endangered list every day, and a great deal of this is due to human activity. You may have read about the orange-bellied parrot colonies in South Australia. These are under threat from wind farms. So even our attempts to save energy can have a negative impact. A further example is provided by the expansion of our cities. Here in Australia, many species of frog are losing their habitat as a direct result of this urban development. What's more, thanks to the increasing use of pesticides, fewer insects are surviving. Many species depend upon these as a food source, birds in particular, and so their numbers are declining as well. So, even in rural areas, we are having a damaging effect on species. In fact, when our farmers choose to grow large amounts of one staple crop each year, corn is a perfect example, this often results in the greater need for chemicals and fertilisers, which has a devastating effect on local wildlife. Clearly, something needs to be done about this. However, very little can be achieved without full public support, and our general attitude is not always a positive one. Of course, it is easy to get people interested in animals such as the panda. Thanks to the attention it is given in the media, people are very aware of its plight and so are willing to give a great deal of support. However, it is not so easy to attract sympathy for those essential smaller species, such as insects. They may seem insignificant, but these tiny creatures have an enormous effect on our ecosystem. And it isn't only size that is a problem when it comes to our attitude towards animals. There are certain animals that we would prefer to simply ignore for various reasons. Firstly, we might do this because of fear. That is the normal reaction when people see a shark or a snake, for example. Another reason might be that we believe that certain animals are rivals when it comes to food. Locusts and even mice could come into this category. Then there are animals that we view with disgust because of how they look or feel. The many different parasites, for example. You may well ask, what does it matter if any of these species dies? Extinction is a fact of life, after all. I would argue that there are several reasons to be concerned about the extinction of any species. Each species helps us to understand more about how our ecosystem works. One species can be linked to many others in the food chain, for example. And, inevitably, they all lead back to us in some way. We now know that the more complex the ecosystem is, the more stable it is. When this is the case, large numbers of one animal are quickly controlled by outbreaks of its predators. We've also begun to realise that the presence or absence of certain plants can alert us to changes in our environment. One type of plant might indicate the presence of rich mineral deposits. Another might alert us to toxic water. And so even seemingly insignificant species can be helpful and beneficial to us. This is especially true in the area of medicine. There are many well-documented cases of the health benefits of pet ownership, especially with the ill or the handicapped. But not many people know that spiders are also being used in medicine. The cobwebs they make can be used to assist with certain blood disorders. It actually helps blood to clot. Imagine how much more there is for us still to discover from plants and animals. But we can only do this if we can save these creatures from extinction. Perhaps, in the end, it is our self-interest that will save the animals.
That is the end of part 4. You would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.